Hi friends, welcome back. Welcome to the Predict the Unpredictable series where I give you important topics and questions which you can expect in the UPSC Prelims Examination 2024. Guys, approximately 1 month is remaining, and let me tell you from my experience of cracking the prelims examination 6 out of 6 times, if you use these 30 days strategically, what do we mean when I say strategically means you focus on important issues. Guys, no one can stop you from qualifying the UPSC prelims examination. I have prepared a list of important topics for every subject. Please get that list. The link is in the description of the video. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a very important polity topic which has a very high chance to come in the UPSC prelims examination. I'm predicting this topic, guys, and the topic is related to elections, model code of conduct. So what kind of questions can come from this topic, guys? They can ask you about what is model code of conduct, or they can ask you why we have a model code of conduct, what is the aim of model code of conduct, or they can ask you when does the model code of conduct comes into being, or how the model code of conduct achieves its aim. So guys, model code of conduct is what? It is a set of guidelines given by the election commission to regulate political parties and the candidates during the election. The aim is to have free and fair election. Guys, model code of conduct comes into being after the dates poll schedule has been announced. Okay, with the announcement of poll schedule, okay, till the till the elections are concluded, model code of conduct is in play. Okay, very important. Okay, so when is very important, what is very important. Guys, when was the first time model code of conduct was introduced in India? So it was introduced in the midterm election in Kerala in 1968-69. This is the first time model code of conduct was introduced, and later on it has been revised in 1979, 1982, 1991, 2013, and recently also it was basically revised when something related to freebies were also, election manifestos were also added to the model code of conduct. Okay, so very important. So what is done, when is done, now let us see, guys, why is also done. Now let us see this statutory thing. Okay, so model code of conduct does not have any statutory backing. So this means what? It is not written, okay, in Representation of People Act. Okay, Representation of People Act does not talk about model code of conduct, and conduct of election rules also does not talk about model code of conduct. Then you will wonder, how does then election commission implement, enforce this model code of conduct? So guys, election commission, using its power under article 324 of the constitution, which empowers the election commission to conduct free and fair election, has come out with election symbols reservation and allotment order under article 324 of the constitution, and this has provisions to related to violation of model code of conduct. So this is very important. This order is very important. Election symbols order 1968, very important. The symbol order was introduced in the exercise of the power conferred under article 324 of the constitution. Para 16a of the symbols order says that in violation of model code of conduct or other directions or orders of the commission, it can suspend the recognition of party, in an extreme case even withdraw its recognition. Suspension and withdrawal of recognition of political party will deprive it of the symbol reserved for it. This will pose enormous problem for a recognized party, as it will not be able to use the symbol which is reserved for it in the election. Very important, very important. That is the power. So what kind of election commission action it can take? Election commission can take a very important action, and that action is what? It can basically suspend and withdraw the recognition. Very important. Okay, and the symbol, okay, will be taken back. Okay, and sometimes what it does is that for violation of model code of conduct, okay, it will suspend the star campaigner from campaigning for 28 to 40, 24 to 48 hours. Very important. Okay, for star campaigners. So what are star campaigners? This can also be asked in UPSC. What are star campaigners? What are regulations regarding star campaigners? Very important. Okay, next what they can ask you is what kind of activities, do's and don'ts, are allowed and prohibited in model code of conduct. So model code of conduct mainly has some regulations for the ministers and the basically the political party which is in power. Okay, because they have all the resources at their disposal. You can see here, ministers and other authorities are barred from announcing any financial grants or making any commitments once the elections are announced as per the guidelines of the election panel. Once the dates of Lok Sabha elections are announced, ministers and other authorities are also restricted from laying down foundation stones or initiating projects or schemes of any kind except civil servants. Very, very important. This is very, very important. They can frame questions saying that what is allowed, what is not allowed by Model Code of Conduct. Official visits must be not combined with electioneering activities after the enforcement of Model Code of Conduct. Furthermore, use of official machinery or personnel for electioneering purposes is strictly prohibited. So they cannot use, ministers, even prime minister cannot use the official visit using for electioneering activities, or neither they can use the official machinery. Okay, ministers and authorities are not allowed to sanction grants and payments from discretionary fund once the elections are announced. The utilization of official machinery or personnel for electioneering activities is strictly prohibited as per the guidelines of Election Commission of India. So the ministers and the prime minister cannot use the official machinery. See, they ministers, the government has disposal at their disposal lot of civil servants, but they cannot use it for election purposes. Government accommodation should not serve as a campaign office or be used for holding public meetings for election propaganda by any party. Election Commission of India prohibits issuance of advertisement at the cost of public expenditure in news, papers and other media during the election period. The misuse of official mass media for partisan coverage of political news and publicity regarding achievements of favor of ruling parties should also be strictly avoided. So the media which is under control of government, that cannot also be used by ruling party for basically favoring itself. Okay. Next, for general candidates, what are the guidelines? So political parties and candidates are advised to refrain from, okay, they are advised to refrain from, you can see here, refrain from commenting on all aspects of private lives of leaders, workers, and other parties, limiting criticisms to only policies and programs. So private things cannot be discussed, past records and work. Social media posts must also refrain from insulting the rival. You can't insult any rival. Thus, they may also not indulge in activities aggravating the differences or create mutual hatred among caste, religion, or linguistic appeals on caste and communal feelings are also prohibited. Restrictive and prohibitory orders in force at any public place where meetings are held must be adhered to. Permission for usage of public space and loudspeaker must be taken from local police. In case of public procession, details of times and the end point and the route must be informed to the police. All political workers engaged in electioneering must display the badges, identity cards, and must leave the constituency after the campaign period is over if they are not a voter or candidate's election agent from the constituency. Disrupting the public meetings of other parties or candidates are also prohibited. Parties cannot hold processions along places where other parties are holding. No political party can make a payment of 10,000 or more in a day in cash to any person, company, or entity. Parties must also not resort to bribing, intimating, or impersonating the voters. They must also not they must also not transport voters to and fro of political parties, distribute liquor. So they cannot transport voters or distribute liquors. Canvassing within 100 meters of polling booth is not allowed. This very important fact. Okay, 100-meter. Posters, flags, symbols, or any propaganda material should not be displayed at the polling place. Loudspeakers cannot be used between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. unless written permissions are taken. Very, very important. So these are the guidelines. So they can ask you guideline oriented questions also. Generally, people will ignore this. People will just read the basic stuff, which, okay, it is legal or not, it is statutory or not. Only that they will not discuss this. Okay, what is prohibited for the ministers and what are prohibited for the candidates and political parties. So, guys, like this, if you want me to make more videos, please do support this video. And did you like the approach in which I have given you all the aspects of this topic, which is what, why, when, and how the free and fair election is achieved through regulating the political party in power and also other candidates who are fighting the elections. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Take care.